oh sorry, not have a bit more, mix a bit more paint. You see, I've not done a watercolour like this for a long time, so I am a little bit rusty. But I hope this will give you an idea that watercolour and painting in general is not something that's difficult. And what I'm going to do as well is I'll just rinse this brush off. Should never do with your brushes, leave them soaking, leave them in the water. You always just give them a rinse, dry them off, and get back to paint. What we can do, just to make the point that is the horizon line, just go across like that, so it looks as though there's a lot, make it look that the land is there. You can also do a few darker ripples as well, to make it look as though there's something. Now they're not something moving, but it looks as though there's some movement in the water, especially where these areas are, where there's like a strong colour. It looks flat, it looks motionless. And then we can go back and try and add some more like things to the foreground. Now I think it's looking a little bit blur, don't you? How's about we get some more water in our thing, our palette, and get some more paint in there, and how about we have a tree? Where can we have the tree? We can have everything in the right hand corner, the left hand corner. Now seeing as there's not much mountain there to draw our eye in, what I think we should do is have a tree about here. I'll just let you wiggle and jiggle. Oops. We don't want to be making telegraph poles. We want to be making a tree. So why am I going up the side with the masking tape? I don't know, what the heck. Okay, so we've got the branches there. I think we should put some foliage in, don't you? So what we do for the foliage, we get our thingy brush, the one that we use on our water, and we just basically wreck the bristles. Yeah, see that? Bristles well and truly splayed open, completely wrecked. And what we do, is dab. I want it dark, much darker than the tree itself. Okay, so where we had that little bit of a mistake that I made, you're not going to see it now, because it's going to be covered up with leaves. And you want it dark because you don't want to see all the branches. You want to see the branches, but not all of them, if you know what I mean. If you see the branches, you can then say it's a tree and it's not just a blob. So what I'm doing is getting as much paint as I'll get some lots of dark paint on my brush, and then I'm just dabbing it onto another piece of paper. To splay the bristles out. And just because we've got a few branches in certain areas doesn't mean to say that's where we have to have all our foliage. We can have a little bit more down there where we didn't have any branches. We can always put branches in if we think we need it. So, and don't keep the brush all in one direction. You want to move it round a bit. You want to disguise sometimes where the branches are. You want to leave some of the branches exposed. You also want to leave some gaps in between, because if you don't leave the gaps, it will just look like a blob, and that is something we don't want it to look like. And you can always turn around and say, well, I've left the gaps so that any birds that's flying along can actually fly through the tree rather than bang into it and end up concussed on the floor. You see, so we've got now our tree. Now, yeah, okay, I'm admitting the edges look a bit iffy and this, that and the other, but I was nearly spoiled a glass of pop by dipping my brush in it. And they say you're not actually an artist until you've dipped your brush in your drink. I've done that many times. Many times. So you can always console yourself if you ever do take up painting. If you try to wash your brush out in your drink, you finally achieved the title of artist. Right, we're going to use our little fine brush. Now we're going to get some water into my palette and going to mix it around. This you need a lot of water for what we're doing. What we're going to do is just add some little branches coming up from there, because you've all seen the trees which have the little shoots coming up from the base of the trunk, and when we've done that we can go along the bottom and put some long grasses in, as you can see. and we've got our shrubs or whatever they may be, but we want to have some, we want to break it up a bit more by putting a few grassy things in there, something for the ladybirds to climb up, ready for takeoff. As I say, it's not the best painting I've ever done by any stretch of the imagination, because it's because I'm so used to doing acrylics and the water soluble oils now that I've really lost touch with doing watercolours. But I hope that gives you some idea of how easy and simple it is just to do a watercolour. And got my birds up there. Make it 3. It's always better doing things in 3s, like that. When I say 3, odd numbers is what I meant. If you're doing birds or anything, flowers, always do them in 3s. It looks much nicer. If you do it in even numbers, there isn't a centre point where your eye can match, or where your eye can settle. So that's that done. What I'm going to do now is pull back, and then I'm going to take off the masking tape, and you can see the idea of why I put such a border, such a large-ish border around. Because when you peel the masking tape off, something rather lovely happens, and all those dodgy edges where you've gone over it and it looks a mess, all get straightened up, and you're left with nice sharp edges. As you can see, I'm going to take a photograph of this on my still camera and have it as the background image for the closing credits, as it were. Oh, there you go. But one thing you should always remember when you're doing a painting: it is never ever complete until you do one thing, and that one thing is add your name, SP bar 2012. It's there, you can see it just about, possibly not on camera, but it's there. You have to sign your name to a painting, because once it's been found in an attic somewhere and it's got your name on, people can say, yes, such a person painted that, they lived at such a time and such a time, they did that many paintings, and this one is an original and it costs, and it's worth thousands and thousands of pounds. Not this one, however. This is just, as I say, a demonstration piece. It's not going to be anything special. I'm just trying to unscrew the camera from the tripod so I can move it round, and you can have a look from the top, as it were. And there you go. Sorry, I'm getting into the shadow, but there's your painting, Karina. I hope you like it. As I say, it was just something very quick, very simple, just to show what you can do with one colour and a pot of water. So from me and from Laddie, bye bye, take care.